And the Sharks lose for a 7th consecutive effort tonight against the Nashville Predators, 1-0 in overtime. Ekholm with the goal that seals the deal. The Sharks are now just waiting for that E by their name. We'll talk about all that and more on this edition of Teal Town USA After Dark. But first, if you want to be a part of the show and interact with us, Teal Together, check us out across all the social media platforms, that being Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the YouTube chat, which we are monitoring. Of course, all your comments, too, on those YouTube videos, the SoundCloud, the Reddit, and, of course, all of the shenanigans that go down in the Discord. Check out all of that and more on tealtownusa.com. I am pleased to be joined by Dana Meyerson. Dana, how are you doing this evening?
The pleasure's all mine. Well, I have a new microphone. The Tankathon people are happy.
Yes, indeed. The Tankathon.
I don't know that I'm one of them, but
the Tankathon is seemingly in full effect now. Of course, the Sharks losing tonight's effort, a 1-0. Although I think we can all safely say from this one that goaltending was not the issue. Few and far between, actually, because quite honestly, the Sharks had no real business being around tonight at all. And Kahkonen with 40 of 41 saves tonight and just doing yeoman's work, keeping the Sharks in the whole time in this game. I mean, from puck drop, you could see Nashville being very dominant, getting shots on net, getting a lot of zone time, and really Kahkonen keeping the team in it. And good on him. In that first period, the Sharks would have 5 shots on net to Nashville's 11. Dana, I mean, besides goaltending, I mean, and I'd love to hear your take on what you're seeing from Kaapo Kahkonen and what's making him really work, within the Sharks system right now. But just overall, I mean, a little bit of bounce back physicality-wise, but still lack of offense.
Yeah, no, physicality to say the least. Also, is my mic picking up the cat crying in the background?
I'm not hearing any
Perfect.
Any kitty cats.
That is 90% of why I bought it. So there you go. I think I kind of knew going into this game, one of the reasons I signed up for it was because I was like, okay, like teams will come back against someone who embarrassed them last time. So I figured there was going to be some feistiness even just at the start, and there definitely was some pent-up energy. So I did enjoy seeing that. I usually am like conflicted when it comes to fights because like, yeah, they're entertaining, but people can get hurt. But I did enjoy seeing that aspect at least. Again, I could go on all night about Kahkonen. He looked really good. An issue that I pointed out a few games ago was getting a little too far out of his net, and I think he has improved on that. And then also when he did do that, he would get back really quickly if he needed to. So maybe he listens to us. I think it's suspicious how many changes they make that we point out. Some secret Teal Town listeners, I don't know.
Maybe. I also know that Cappy had been taking some time with Nabby and really trying to hone his game. And of course, Nabby was notorious for being a guy who would come out and challenge and being very aggressive, but also, getting back to his net. So I think, like you had said, just adding on top of that, you could definitely see his game get a little bit of growth to it, meaning just seeing him stay home a little bit more often, maybe not venture out as far as he was, and honestly just a really good balance. And that's what I thought that I saw tonight, was a good balance of aggressiveness, but also a good a good understanding of when he needed to kind of pull back into his net, especially on the 2-on-1s, especially on the 3-on-1, and we'll go through it. We'll go through the scoring chances here in a second. But I mean, within that first period, you did get some of the chippiness going early. 2 minutes and 3 seconds in, Mark Borowiecki and Jeffrey Viel both dropped the gloves. It was a pretty one-sided affair as far as fights go. They had mentioned on the broadcast tonight that Borowiecki had just gotten some dental work done, mouth full of stitches, and there he goes taking some punches from Viel right in the face. And, oh boy, it just...
Man of the hour.
Yeah, but you just looked at his face, and then you looked on top of how Viel hit him, and it was like, oh, God, he's going to be feeling that tomorrow. Or at least...
Yeah.
Yeah, instant smelling salts, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I had, to be honest, barely heard his name until this week. I guess getting cross-checked by Malkin is a quick way to get famous. And then I Googled him, and apparently he stopped someone from robbing a car while he was out shopping for baby clothes one time in Ottawa. So...
Yeah.
Seems like a cool guy, I guess.
He's, from everything that I've heard, he's one of those guys that's a glue guy that is just one of the ones that you hate when he's playing against your team, but you love him being on your team. Just a thorn in the side, a guy who is willing to, stick up for, any of his teammates. And, again, good all-around dressing room guy. And tonight you just saw him kind of engaging the Nashville team, getting them all engaged in that very early. I mean, we saw continuous checks throughout that first period. And, we did see a power play from the Nashville Predators. The Sharks were able to kill it off. And I mean, we saw more of the same going into that second period. It just seemed, again, the Nashville Predators were wearing down on the Sharks. The Nashville Predators would end up getting 15 shots in that second period. The Sharks with only 8 shots. Dana, I mean, how did the Sharks just keep it together through 2 periods of just onslaught? Because it seemed like they couldn't even move the puck out of their zone for long stretches of time.
Pure nervous energy. That's how they did it. They got lucky a lot, though. They got lucky with the offside, obviously, and also like a lot of posts that one time where the broadcast almost said it was a goal. Just luck.
Yeah, luck. In that second period, like Dana had mentioned, the Nashville Predators would score what would seemingly be the go-ahead goal. Unfortunately, the play was offsides. The Sharks did catch it, did challenge it, and it did get pulled off the board. And that's where we would stay 0-0 going locked into that third period. From a statistical perspective, the Sharks did a better job in that third period with 9 shots, but again, to Nashville's 14 shots. And in the last 10 minutes, I mean, Nashville just threw everything and the kitchen sink towards Kahkonen. And again, Cappy just standing in there with an awesome effort, and one of those efforts that kind of goes to show you what you've got in this prospect, and I don't know, it gave me some hope for the future in the nets for the Sharks. Dano, what do you think about Cappy long term and what he provides for the team?
I mean, I was just saying, puck guy on the last one, like for the first time in a while, goaltending is not at the top of our list of big concerns, especially going into the off season. I think getting a goaltender wasn't necessarily something we expected to be getting at the trade deadline. If we did, then it would have been presumably like in a Reimer trade. But I mean, hey, like it is a good pickup, a good option, especially if maybe they are kind of questioning Hill, if he's what they want to go with. I love Reimer, but this does make it so that, if and when they want to get something back for him, going to a team who wants that kind of established goalie, maybe needs a solid backup they can rely on, will have to, NHL, I don't want to say NHL caliber because they're both younger, but surely one of them will end up being like NHL caliber and they can kind of like challenge themselves.
Yeah, I think
challenge each other.
Yeah, I think you're definitely on to that point, and I had been talking to the Canadian robot Ian Reed about just kind of the state in which the I guess the direction in which the franchise wants to go with goaltending, because they do have two 25-year-old goaltenders who both big studs in the nets, one 6'5" and the other 6'4", both athletic, both have a lot to bring. I think both are unproven. We've seen Hill be a little bit more fragile than Capo or Reimer this year. But I think that there's still a player there in Hill, and I'd be very interested to see, when he gets healthy and when he comes back next season, what exactly they're going to get from him, and if they can have that tandem playing off of each other. We'll get quickly to the comments right now. We've got some great stuff coming in from AJ, who is on the media call. AJ, thank you so much. This is from Bugner. I thought Kapanen was our best player, make big saves when we needed, had some decent chances, would have been nice to score for Capo. He deserved it. Okay, second one coming up. I thought we established our game. It's what we wanted to do. Couture came out hitting. We took hits to make plays. I thought we answered the bell. The shot clock is a little deceiving. It was back and forth tonight. A hard road game. We need more puck luck, more shot volume. And we got a lot coming in from Bugner tonight. We created a lot of turnovers, squeezed well, we're tough around our net, boxed out well. Okay, some more cliche. But here's something kind of interesting. We don't really hear a lot of Balcer's praise coming from Bugner, and we're getting some a little bit tonight. Balcer's was good on the puck tonight, and hunting down. I thought Rudy was good and got rewarded. Let's see, anything else of note? We've got some stuff coming in from Cappy. We were all in this game, but we can take a lot of good things for being a road against a good team. Guys block shots and box out this time of year. That's huge. This will lead to success, all coming from Capo Kahkonen. So, I mean, the guys are saying the right things. I think you give up 40 shots, you're giving up, 41 shots, and you lose 1-0. It's a very deflating type of game, especially for the guys in the room, because they feel like they needed to score for their goaltender and stuff. But it seems like Capo Kahkonen has been doing a really good job just staying even keel and being emotionally stable and steady. And I think that's again a steadying presence in the nets for this team. I think is nothing but a good thing. What's your thoughts on his playing style and just his demeanor, Dana? It may be a little bit different than the brooding Martin Jones.
Yeah, Martin Jones was always an emotional roller coaster. His Kahkonen's rebound control is really good. They said that on the broadcast, which I'll get into in a sec. The broadcast was really good. I wonder why. But yeah, not most, but like a lot of goals are scored on the rebound. And so if he can lock that down and not allow that, then that's a really good skill.
In that second period as well, we'd also have a Nick Meloche fight against Nick Cousins. This one was a little bit more even, evenly matched. It was a big hit. Then, Nick Meloche steps up and answers the bell. I thought, again, pound for pound, physically, the Sharks did a good job staying with it with the Predators. But I think you could definitely tell that there was a talent mismatch on the ice tonight. In Nashville, that blue line is just so mobile. It just creates so much. And you think, boy, the Sharks should have the pieces to similarly match that. And yet, here we are still talking about defensive miscues, breakdowns by 88 and 65. I'm scratching my brain when there's 2 minutes left, Dana, in that third period, and EK65 and Brent Burns are on the same unit together, the same 5-man unit. And I'm just thinking, boy, this is prime for EK losing it on the boards and having a 2-on-1 going the other way with Burns, getting the Starfish defense out predictably. We didn't see that, but what we did see was still a lot of deferring of the puck from one blue liner to another and not really getting a lot of shots in from that blue line. Tonight, if we look at shots on goal generated from the blue line, 4 shots total. That's it. Not good enough. Not good enough. What'd you see from the blue line tonight? And maybe that can start to explain why we've had this offensive lights out period.
To answer your question, what did I see from the blue line? Not a lot. Yeah, I mean, obviously some blame to Boogs because putting Burns and Carlson on the same unit worked one solitary time is not an excuse to keep doing that. Seriously, everyone is screaming into the void, like, please stop. It's not going to work. But I mean, it's just like a lack of, I notice more of, I don't know. I don't want to try and like get into their heads or whatever, but I feel like sometimes EK65 definitely goes through these periods where I can just like read it on his face. Like he's kind of like checked out a little bit. And like, I love him to death. But like, I mean, at least like if you're going to be in your feels that way, like bottle it up when you're on the ice and in front of everybody. Cause like, you gotta be a role model to the rookies. Like if you're feeling frustrated, like you can't be showing it to everybody.
Or at least if you do, back it up with a good game, right? With Logan,
yeah.
Logan and EK had it out at the end of that Vancouver game, and I think it was a little overblown by the media. Of course, I think the media wants to stir the pot and make something there that's not. But what I do want to say though is that Coach Scherr came out tonight with a very physical game. Coach Scherr, I think, for every shift that he took, he was either taking the body, getting the puck up the ice. You could see that he was locked in, and you could see that he came to play tonight. And it was good, at least in my opinion, that when the captain calls somebody out, he then goes out and he leads by example. And I thought that was good on Coach Scherr. EK65 on the other end of that, receiving that message, played better than he did against Vancouver, which isn't saying a lot, but I still think that I would have liked to have seen more coming out of EK tonight. And again, I just have to look at shots on goal. He had 1 shot on goal, 1 hit, but 2 giveaways. I mean, 2 giveaways and a -1. He was out there on that goal against in overtime. I guess we'll finish off the game in that third period. There wouldn't be any scoring, but again, the Sharks would be down on the shot clock going into the overtime period. Ryan Johansen, they changed it back to Ryan Johansen. So it had been gone back from Ekholm to Johansen. Now it's back to Johansen. So let me go ahead and finish that graphic up one again. So that was his 23rd on the season. Ekholm and Forsberg getting the assists there, and people saying blown assignment, people saying it was ran out of gas on the last of the the last of that shift in overtime. Dana, what'd you see from it, and ultimately whose responsibility is that there?
Got the giffer in front of me, but let's see, whose number is that right there? Who was on the ice during that? Okay, there's EK. Yep. That was him, as I suspected. I don't know. I think, as you said, well, God, I would want to say talent mismatch, but EK65 should not be a talent mismatch. Like, I am an EK65 apologist. I am a stan. I do love him. And I say this with all the love in my heart, but like, if you're gonna be the top paid defenseman in the league, like you can't even just be like good, which he hasn't been in the last few games anyway. But even if he was, like, when you're on the ice in OT, like, you need to be relied upon. You need to be, you should be the one creating the play that wins, not like allowing, I don't know. And I'm with you. I have
tried to be at least pretty objective when it comes to EK65, really just kind of going down on, okay, here's the factual work, the statistical work. Here's what I see, demonstrating on the ice. But you're absolutely right. I mean, he's being paid like this, like he's Sidney Crosby on the blue line, and he should have that kind of effect on a game as a Sidney Crosby. I mean, maybe one step below a Connor McDavid, but this was a cat who was considered to be one of the best players in the league, not only just as a skater, but as a defenseman, one of the best players in the league. And seemingly he goes through these spurts of disinterestedness. And has it been worth, has he brought enough to the table to overcome or I guess to justify his cap hit and justify his positioning on this team and his ice time and leadership and all of the other things that go along with with the EK65 package? And to me, like you just look at it and you go, I can't make 2 + 2 = 5 here. He's not bringing it commensurate to what he's getting paid and what is expected for the team. And I think I would like to think that he could be part of the solution going forward, and especially if you're able to get out of one of the 3 big contracts from the blue line, that he would be part of the future and part of bringing the Sharks to the next level of success. But with this attitude like this and seeming ebbs and flows in the given F meter, as if we like to pull something from Puck Guy, I don't know that he's that player at this point in his career, Dana.
Yeah. I mean, we could sit here all day and it's not exactly a hot take that, he hasn't lived up to the contract. Where I'm at is I have to always just hope that the next game is going to be better. And that, because he has these, few month stretches. I hate that I have to be saying this, this is the good thing. I mean, he needs to be playing up to his contract at all times, but he'll have those stretches there, times this season towards the start of the year when it was I was so smug. Everybody out there saying EK65 is washed was eating their words. I was loving it because I don't think he's washed. And even now, I don't. He's not old enough for us to say he's washed. That's just my opinion.
He should be in his prime, right? I mean, at his age, and as a defenseman, this should be the best that he's going to ever play. And I can confidently say this is nowhere near the best we've ever seen this player play.
No. No, but again, I guess my point is just I just have to keep hoping because we're not trading him. We're not buying out his contract, at least for the foreseeable future. I think he's still that player who won 2 Norrises, but just, what can we do other than hope and sit here and rant on our post-game show?
And maybe the loss of a Middleton is a bigger effect than we know, because those two had such good chemistry throughout most of the season this year. And when Karlsson was going through that, he did have a very good stretch of play. I think it was a good 2-month span sometime in I think it was November, right, that November-December timeframe where he was putting in some really good work. And this was about the time that Middleton was starting to bloom around him as well. So losing your consistent D partner is a shock to any pairing. I don't care who you're talking about. If it's the second coming of Nick Lidstrom, if you move off of the guy that he's been playing with the majority of the season, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. But Dana, from what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing adjustments being made. I'm seeing pity party and a guy who is just crying because his toy got taken away, or at least from his play on the ice and from some of the some of the looks that he gives, some of the size that he has on the bench. I mean, it doesn't go unnoticed. This guy's body language is all over on the ice, and it shows that this is a guy who, I don't know if he doesn't want to be here. I don't know if it's still a question of, that grass is greener on the other side in Ottawa, but he's got to be part of the solution if he wants to be on a winning team. And that's what I would tell him.
Yeah, no. And again, all I can do is sit here and hope that he can be and will be. I mean, he's always been a little bit of a drama queen, and I love him for it most of the time. But yeah, like, as you said, losing your D partner is going to be a shock, but that was only his D partner all year. It's not like they've been paired up for years and years and years, but also, like, you're going to lose, players are going to come and go. That's life. But again, like you said, I think a big part of the issue is that clear display of emotion. Like, again, like, you can be feeling it, like, be in your feels, whatever, but you can't be a almost debatably veteran player. I don't know where the veteran cutoff line is, but a player who has been around a long time and has no excuse to be showing, like, I guess, wearing his emotions on his sleeve to that degree. I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze him, but if me sitting here at home on my ass is, on, like, seeing on TV those displays of emotion, then, like, they've got to be there. I don't know.
And Mikey J, thank you for commenting in. EK65 not even close to Yossi Makar or Carlson type of impact player. I think when he says Carlson, he's talking Carlson out in Washington, John Carlson.
No, Melker Carlson.
And we have a Melker Carlson reference there. Drink, everybody who's who's following along. Look, at this point, like you had said, this is a bone anchor that the Sharks have got around their necks, and they've got to wear it, and they've got to figure out a way to get this guy going. Whether or not that's going to be via a move that the Sharks need to make, whether it's pairing him with somebody consistent, whether it's finding somebody else to play with him who can help him, unlock the game that he has shown in the past. He looks healthy-ish to me. I think the arm and the shot, when he decides to take a shot, looks good and deceptive, and seems like there's a lot of strength on that puck. So I'm not seeing any injury things here. I mean, everybody's got something at this point in the year, but to me, Dana, this just is, it's just a mental thing. I don't know. Very, very, very much getting the mental vibes off of Carl from EK65 at this point.
Yeah, I don't mean to drag up last year's dirt, but his comment, like, I didn't come here for a rebuild, that really rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah. I don't want to go back into it, but, like, look, when you're when you're an NHL player, when you are a professional sports player in a team sport, there are going to be times when the other players on your team aren't the best players in the league, where your team isn't doing well. Like, I'm trying to think of any team that in a 15-year span has never had some kind of rebuild or retool. And so, like, setting everything else aside with the contract, all that, like, I don't mean to drag it back up, but that, I feel like, encapsulates at least how it seems like he's feeling. Like, I came here to win, and it's, not happening. So I don't know if he wants to be traded, then trade him. But I don't know. And I want him to be part of the solution.
Oh yeah.
He's like a child that I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, no, I mean the type of player that he was and the type of player that he's shown to be in his career was what the Sharks were looking for. Adding instead of having a Brent Burns who's more like a blunt, a blunt instrument or a like a Viking longsword, if you want to call it from a medieval weaponry perspective, whereas Erik Karlsson is the finesse rapier, that will go in and you have a fencing match with, and is his ability to distribute the puck, the ability to have a deceptive shot is the hallmarks of his game, whereas Brent Burns again is a bruising, hulking, shoot from anywhere wild man, and you have what you would have thought would have been this iron fist and velvet glove type defensive game, and we're not seeing it. JT coming in with coming in with some shots on the rest of the D-core. JT, we love all of the differing opinions, so everybody bring it in the chat with the differing opinions. We love it. Of course, stay civil, everybody, because we're all trying to figure this out for the Sharks' sake. We're all on the same team here. But the defensive depth is what it is, and we'll take a look tonight at the minutes. But where I have the issue, JT, and for everybody else who is kind of on the EK65 apology train, is Brent Burns shouldn't be playing 25 minutes at this point in his career. You know what I mean? And when you've got a coach that is playing Brent Burns 25 minutes and playing Jason Megna 22 minutes, and sheltering a guy like Nick Meloche and trying to extract whatever value you can out of the husk of Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Now we're starting to talk about deployment issues and starting to talk about roster configuration issues, and coming full circle. Why is Ryan Merkley off again on this defense? I mean, have we not talked about how we need to incorporate more youth? We're waiting through a 7-game losing period. What do you have to lose at this point? And this starting and stopping on Ryan Merkley is just driving me batshit crazy. Dana, help me, walk me off the ledge here.
I don't know that I can, but I'll try. Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody's in agreement. Like we're not making the playoffs. Like, hey, like just see what you've got. Merkley aside, like we know Merkley is one of our top prospects. That's not even a mystery. Like now's the time to try a lot of different things. Heck, I'd love for them to bench Erik Karlsson. I know they won't, but yeah, I don't know. Like Merkley tries on a night in, night out basis. He makes some dumb plays, but it's because he's trying new things. I've been very happy with him. And he looks like he wants to be here.
Not only that, Dana, but just going back on Ryan Merkley, he's a guy that will put butts in the seats. I mean, you saw some of those pirouettes and some of those beautiful passing plays that he has, and he just dances on the blue line. And you get up and as a Sharks fan, you go, man, I want to come to the tank to see that kid walk on the blue line like that. And now,
yeah, 100%.
It's like, why are you taking this away from me?
I mean, granted, it was an away game, so technically it doesn't matter who you play to put butts in seats. But like I said, like he's trying. Apparently, that's the bar right now.
Uncle Damfee. Okay. I'm wondering if this is a Vincent Damphus reference, and if it is good on you, because that's pulling it back from the OGs.
Who?
Vincent Damphus? Who? That'd be back in the Larionov days, a long time ago. Does anybody think I'm crazy for thinking Drew Remenda could potentially be a good fit as a coach of this team? I like his brain, and he seems to be current with his mindset. Well, he was at one point, but was also behind the bench for one of the worst season in Sharks history. So I think the ship sailed a little bit on that one. Dana?
Oh, you know what? That's a perfect segue because y'all know I have my Post-its.
Oh,
and probably half of them are just love letters to Drew Remenda. No, I was like, he makes it easier for me as someone taking notes on the game to have insight into the game. And it was just, I like realized halfway through the first period, I'm like, oh, maybe I feel like I'm taking good notes. And maybe that's because the commentators are providing insight that isn't just, agreeing with, oh yeah, to echo what you said, Randy, or whatever. I love Hetty. Being Christy Yamaguchi's trophy husband is hard work. I love him.
Oh, we'll just call him Mr. Yamaguchi, okay?
Oh yeah.
You don't get your last name anymore, Hetty. It's you go by Yamaguchi now.
Yeah. No, I love the guy. I'm sure he's great, but it's night and day.
It's like that warm. We've talked about it in our DMs. It's like the warm blanket just coming right over you. You hear those two, and it's like, oh, things are okay.
All the
again.
Birthday talk, but I loved it. And then they showed his brothers, and they shaved their heads in support. No, I love him, and I like have some notes on specific comments he made, like after the offside challenge. Not all heroes wear capes. Some are video coaches for the San Jose Sharks. Where's the lie? He had a lot of good insight on Kahkonen's play that I feel like. Heck, a lot of what I said tonight is just exactly what he said because I couldn't have said it better. I said it just wrote Drew Remenda making my heart happy. 60th birthday.
Yeah, and JT, I will go down on my deathbed saying that Eric Lindros was taken from us because he had to go to a traditional hockey market. End of rant, but yes, he should have been a Shark. Eric Lindros, Shark.
I was not alive then, so cannot comment. Or was I? What year was that?
That would have been
well, I wouldn't remember.
I think that was the inaugural year. I think it was the 91 draft. And
yeah, then I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
Very much not alive.
Yeah. Somebody correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 91. Sharky boy, no, I do not have an OnlyFans. I am just
Boo.
I just taken off my shirt. I have a Baby Yoda clutching a San Jose Shark t-shirt, and that's one of my favorites.
I have a Sugar Skull. I don't know. I think this was playoffs 2017, which
nice.
I went away from my mic, but yeah.
Awesome. They always do awesome, great Dia de los Muertos, Hispanic heritage collabs. I've always loved the styles that the Sharks have gone after with those collabs. So that's a great T-shirt, by the way. And thank you, AJ. Correct. Good on there. 1991 draft. Landy, it wasn't even a debate. They didn't want Lindros to go to an expansion team in San Jose. Exactly. Which is they took him from us. He should have been. You just look at how Vegas how they were treated in their expansion draft. Look at any other expansion draft. I mean, the Sharks got hosts.
Yeah, Seattle got veneers. veneers. I said veneers. I've been watching too much Love Island.
Yeah, right.
They all have the teeth. If you know, you know.
Yeah. We all have that one. We all have that one show that we hoard and binge and we keep to ourselves.
No, mine is hoarders because I'm a little bit of a low-key hoarder, like not the way those people are, but it's like I'm scaring myself into giving stuff away that I don't need because I'm like, you don't want to. One lady bought an entire empty hotel just to store all of her stuff in the rooms. So
Sharky boy, someone better be checking the Venmo. AJ, you want to check and see if we've got any Venmo tips? And of course, thank you everybody for donating to the Venmo and donating to the Super Chat. Venmo at Teal Town USA. We do this after every single Sharks game. We bring all this content for you, for the fans. It's live, uninterrupted, and unedited, unfiltered. So we do that for you. Remember to subscribe.
I have a
Oh, go ahead.
was going to say, I have a Post-it, that same Post-it where I wrote the comment about not all heroes wear capes, but we need to start using Venmo donations to get Remender a raise so that he'll do all the broadcasts.
You know what? Look, if Hasselplattner really does sit down and listen to the broadcasts, as we've been told he does, and that he likes to listen from afar, and one of the reasons why said Mr. Remenda was not brought back was because of his evolving take upon the Sharks was not looked upon with the greatest of admiration by the team's owner. And
honestly, that's why.
And so, going into next season, it would not surprise me if we get a little note coming down that's saying, hey, look, they're reuniting the two, because the broadcast is just at a different level with Drew and Randy together versus Hetty and Randy. And look, I mean, when Hetty and Randy came together, I thought that they had some really good initial chemistry, but I think at this point it's so much regurgitation, and not regurgitation in the way of I'm going to expound upon what my play-by-play guy is saying. Instead, it's a straight, I'm going to concur and reiterate in the same way. Basically, the parroting of the play-by-play. And I think what Drew brings on the color side is a different perspective, and I think he adds a teaching element, which he had lost at the end of his tenure. I can say that he was starting to be a little bit more frustrated, and you could hear it in the broadcast at the results on of the team, and I think that was bleeding into the broadcast, which I think was part of the whole dilemma that was brought upon. But I think at this point in his career, he kind of understands that doesn't add anything to the broadcast, and that he can be better served by educating the fans. And I like to think that he's gotten that back into his broadcasting game through this time around. What have you seen Dana this season as opposed to previous seasons that you've watched him with his difference on the broadcast?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you want to be honest, but also if somebody is tuned in to this game, then they probably just want to hear you break it down and comment on it. And, you don't necessarily need to integrate all of the context of, how trends, that kind of thing, negative trends in this case. But I think he does exactly that. He made, for me, taking notes a lot easier. How am I supposed to take notes on, don't get too cute, don't get too fancy, which is just like, because that's what young players bring. Fun, ingenuity, not old dino fossil, just like doing the same boring thing forever.
Plus, a closet full of Bay Area Emmy Awards doesn't hurt your cause either.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I think Hetty could be a good broadcaster someday if those are his, hopes and dreams, but maybe back to broadcasting school for just a little more. I don't want to stomp on him too much, but
no, and I think that, like I had said, initially Hetty had some really good chemistry, especially after Jamie departed the broadcast, and I liked Jamie Baker's perspective being brought on the broadcast with Randy. Yeah, he had his homer moments too, but I thought Jamie was somebody that we all kind of connected with, part of Sharks history gone by, and when he left, there was a little bit of a vacuum on who was going to take that spot and who was going to continue to push the torch forward on the color side, and Hetty stepped up to the game, and that's, I will always appreciate and always like to think of the good things that he brought and that stability that he brought to the broadcast through that kind of trepidous time. And, for that, I want to thank him and stuff. But clearly, Drew and Randy are just a cut above. I think most in the hockey industry would have told you that the Sharks would have probably been in the at least top 8 of all broadcasts in the NHL with Randy and Drew together. I would put them in the top 5, to be honest. I mean, I love Danico over in Detroit, and I always used to love LA's Bob King, right? Isn't that what his name was? Bob. One of the longtime
Will
LA,
Ferrell.
Yeah, Will Ferrell, longtime LA commentator. I mean, there are certain broadcasts that you just key in on that are, part of NHL tradition, and I felt Randy and Drew were part of that. But Hetty is just kind of a different creature at this point, and I think it's pretty clear the results from the broadcast, I think, are pretty night and day. So that's on my Sharks Christmas list. But Dana, I want to bring it kind of full circle now and talk about the last thing we kind of wanted to go over was you haven't been here since the GM news has gone down. I haven't talked about GM stuff either. I was
on the last game.
So what are your thoughts on the news and where the Sharks are going and what this team needs? Bob Miller, thank you, Puckeye.
I actually was on the when was it? Saturday or Sunday. I did the Canucks game. So I did actually get a chance to comment on DW, but I can just reiterate. I mean,
well, you haven't talked about it with me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I grew up with his team. He's been the Sharks GM for as long as I can remember, even before I knew what a GM was. I mean, I have nothing but love and I mean, I know it's easy to look at the last few years and see a lot of moves that didn't go super well, but he never really had, none that I can think of, any moves that were like, oh my God, what was his name? The guy who used to be in Vancouver, like that level of stupid, like, yeah. Or like, just those super head scratchy moves where you're like, what he did, 99% of the time I could see it made sense from one perspective or another, whether or not it panned out, even the EK65 thing. But yeah, no, I mean, I wish him the best with his health, and I hope he remains a member of the Sharks family for many years to come, because he is maybe, outside of like Thornton, Marlowe, Pavs, or Nabokov, or whatever, like, from a not just a player angle, he's been the most important person in our franchise, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just looking through some looking through some potential hires that might be kind of interesting from the Sharks side, and from my perspective from Doug Wilson is this. I mean, Doug Wilson tried to put together a team every year that would compete when he felt that he didn't have the pieces and needed to restock and rejigger and reconfigure the way in which the team needed to play. He did that. Was a good and loyal manager to the players that played under him. I think, AJ and Jerk have both said it quite often, though. His number one strength could be his number one weakness, which was the loyalty, and the fact that, we saw the way in which the Sharks cap structure changed. Now, whether that was market influenced or whether it was just what the Sharks were having to pay to keep their players, I mean, that's kind of in vogue at the moment. DW has, followed that structure, but was it, something that he wanted to put forward? I don't know, but it seemed like his hand was a little forced kind of there at the end to maybe make some moves or recommit to players that should have had more scrutiny placed upon them. And, you know who I'm talking about. And again, we don't need to rehash and go over it again. But, I think during the last few years, I think he had, I think he needed to maybe have a little bit more due diligence with the way in which the contract structuring ended up going, and kind of has handcuffed us now. But of course, hindsight's 2020. And at this point, I think the Sharks have pivoted enough to where they've restocked the farm quite a bit. I mean, we'd even talk about Tommy Bordelot getting his ATO, his Barracuda contract. Now he's going to stay with the CUDA, probably going to be up this week with them playing games, but that will not affect his ELC, his entry-level contract, or his pro contract. So going into next season, all 3 years of his ELC will be intact. The timer will not start for him playing on the Barracuda, and that's why he was signed to the ATO and not to his ELC. For anybody wondering, we were kind of going through that in the DMs this afternoon. But yeah, Tommy Bordelot, boy, this is going to be a guy that's going to be really, really, really dynamic, and somebody I'm looking forward to. Dana, I mean, out of all the highlights that you've seen from Tommy, what are you most excited for him and what he brings to the team?
I need to look at more highlights. So I don't have a ton of like super specific comments, but I mean, I was just thinking today about how like a few years ago, when I was trying to think like who is up and coming on the Sharks, I'd kind of have to rack my brain and think like, well, this guy might pan out, but it's like, no, we have prospects who we can point to and we can say like, this guy, Marge. I don't know if you heard that. But like guys we can point to and be like, no one's a guarantee, but like you'll probably be an NHLer, if not, have that high ceiling to be like a really, really good player. We've got multiple guys like that. So I know everyone kind of overrates their prospect pool because they're your babies, but I think our baby Sharks are going to be great. And that's one of the reasons that it's easier for me to kind of write off this year and be like, it's a practice run for me to get my Teal Town career going. So I don't have to to be like covering a team that's working towards something this season. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to Anushrov Vatsa in the comments.
Okay.
My boyfriend. Yeah.
Welcome. How do you pronounce his first name so I don't get it wrong?
Anushrov.
Anushrov. Okay.
But you can call him Anu.
Anu. Okay. Anu, welcome to the chat. It's awesome to have your girlfriend join the crew, going through this crazy sport we like to follow. Boy.
He's a trooper.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you got to wonder, right? About all of us. But no, I'd love to see the Sharks poach somebody off of Tampa Bay. For me, you look at...
Well, technically they did. Oh. Magnus Corona.
Oh, well, no, okay. But I mean, as far as a GM goes, yeah, from the GM perspective...
Oh, from a GM, yeah, I was going to be like, well, technically, I mean, we sent... Who'd we get back for Goodrow? That was just the pick, right? I can't remember.
Goodrow was the first rounder that we got back, and then we just traded one of the goaltenders over to Tampa Bay. It was like the last second deal. Here, I'll pull up the trade history. But like I'm looking at like Stacey Roest, or I'm looking at maybe Matthew Darch, guys that are plugged into either the development of that system or operations within Tampa Bay. I mean, you're looking at the upper echelon teams, and you go, okay, what are they doing right? Drafting and development, player personnel decisions, and coaching. They've got the trifecta working there. You need to bring some elite minds, and you need to surround the current staff and augment them with a new perspective and a new way about going things. Because I think the Sharks, if anything, if we can all agree on one thing as a Sharks fandom and fan base together, is that this team is stale. I think that this team is stale and it needs a new set of eyes, whether that's going to be coming in from new kids, coming in from trades, coming in from drafts, but there needs to be a fundamental shift in the direction of this team. And you hope that somebody from a winning organization and a winning culture could come to this team and show this team how to succeed in this next iteration of the NHL, right? Because I think post lockout for about 8 years and pre-lockout for about 3 years, you could say that the Sharks were a dominant team and understood fundamentals and how to work within the NHL system within those times. But since we've gotten beaten in the finals in 16, I think the team has been trying to chase a winning formula that they don't have, and they don't have the pieces to do that. And I think that they need to blaze their own trail instead of keeping up with the Joneses on everybody on how to go about winning a Stanley Cup. But that's kind of my last inputs there on the GM search. Dana, if you want to take it away on the last thoughts for the GM search, where the people can find you, what you're doing these days.
Yeah, I mean, I have to disagree with you a little bit, because I think with the, we made the playoffs the 3 years after that run, getting kicked out in the first, making it to the second, and then making it to the third, respectively. But there was definitely a sense in that conference finals run in 2019 that they just kind of ran out of gas at a certain point. The injuries were piling up, and I think that's when it wasn't necessary. It was a more gradual transition, because we still had that team on the ice that was making noise, but the prospects pool was starting to get a little thinner. So but I think we're at the point where we have a core that, in theory, if we did have more young top tier players coming in, then we would still have a good contending team. But yeah, I think that loyalty that DW always had is a double-edged sword. I will say I prefer it to getting the kind of reputation that Vegas has gotten. At least if you're too loyal, guys will want to come over because they're players. If they know that this management group will stick by the guys they have. So I guess those are the end of my thoughts on that. It's been a wild ride, but I'm always I go into every season thinking, this year the Sharks will get back on it, and whether I'm right or wrong, I'm still always going to go in with that attitude, because defeatism is no fun. Oh, yeah. Not accusing anybody of that.
You got to go in with hope. I think because if you go in thinking, man, it's going to be a lost season, it's not going to be fun. And like I've been trying to convey to everybody on the podcast, you've got to now pick what you're looking for in these games, because if you're just looking at it and taking it on the whole and taking it on aggregate, watching 7 losses in a row is tough. But if you're looking for development, if you're looking for the new kids, and you're looking for the bright spots, it makes the game a little bit easier to watch and enjoy. So always keeping that great attitude, Dana. That's
awesome. Surprisingly, I've enjoyed quite a few of these losses, including the game tonight. I liked when Hurdle got into a fight and then was just calmly addressing was it Borowiecki again? It's always funny to see, because it's like he can be tough. He's got a big ass he's checking everybody with, but then at the end of the day he's still a sweetie. So just little things like that I do enjoy. So it is what it is.
All right, well, if you want to give a shout out to your social media channels and where we can find you and what you're doing.
Yeah. So you can find me at DN. Can't spell my own name. I swear it's only been one seltzer. DANAMEYY, Dana May. That's also my handle on Instagram. But most importantly, I'm going to go get the true social media star.
Okay, she's getting her social media star. For me, you can check me out at Eric Landy, ERIKLANDI, across all the social media garbage. Here vamping while Dana comes back with her star. Ah, there she is. There's Marge.
Yep, you can find her at Margie MARGIE _ the Queen on Instagram.
Hashtag.
And she does follow back.
Hashtag Tealtown Pets. Well, in case you missed us and you want to check us out again, check us out across all of the podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, the YouTube Rewind, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and of course, iHeartRadio. Check out all of that and more across tealtownusa.com. So for both myself and Dana, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real, Teal. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you after the next game.